All right. How's it going, everyone?
Good.
Let me check. Oh, there goes Fabs. Perfect. Well, let's kick things off for our October 2025 AMA. And we are going to be covering a lot of updates today. We'll be kicking it off with our fancy updates, and then on to UE, and then we'll be discussing a high-level roadmap, and then we'll be addressing all the questions that we that we received from the Curia board. So thank you, everyone, for contributing to that. But without further ado, I will go ahead and dish it off to Lucian.
Thank you, Annalisa, and welcome everybody to our AMA. And just want to quickly recap about the first half of 2025, which was all about ecosystem building, and the hectogrid submissions were very good, 3 times over the previous programs, as outlined in our report as well. And yeah, there were some really good numbers that we already highlighted, but I think it's certainly worthwhile to repeat them as well, right? We are almost at 35,000 universal profiles now and almost at 150,000 validators. Now, as we move into the last part of this year, the focus is going to be more and has been on product development. And that's what the main focus of today is going to be about. Fabian is going to share with us his vision and the roadmap for things to come. Furthermore, yeah, we have been focusing a bit on institutional rails, as you might have seen from some of the announcements. And there is a couple of strategic partnerships as well, which are coming up and which will be shared in brief by Kat and John as well. Yeah, so it's not just about updates and the product roadmap, it's also about celebrating this incredible effort that our teams and the community, you guys, have been continuing to put into the project every single day, also when the whole market itself has been going sideways and down. And yeah, with that said, over to you, John.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, as Lucian had alluded to, we continue to expand and build out the rails on the institutional expansion side. Earlier on in the quarter, crypto.com had supported our network for institutional custody. Then, very recently, crypto.com, Global Stake, and us have now enabled for institutional custody staking as well, which was, it's a huge step for the ecosystem. We've never had this before. And so, along that lines, this was very recently. Liechtenstein Telecom has, joined the ecosystem as a validator as well, and we continue to, build out that long-term kind of relationship that we have, and deepen that over time. We've also got active discussions with other institutional validators that we want to bring on board. But yeah, stay tuned on that side of things. And then another core kind of like theme or focus during this phase is increasing the access of Lux, right? So that started with the bridge. Now there's bridge Lux on Ethereum. The liquidity pool is actually shaping up pretty nicely given the market environment. We had the TVLs steadily kind of growing. The volumes are the highest it's been in October, and is even surprisingly actually outstripping the volumes on some of the more well-known exchanges that support LUKSO. So we're pretty happy about that, and we'll continue to adjust and nurture that pool over time. Bridge update we'll get to, but yeah, on the access side, when it comes to Bridge Lux, it was a big month in September. We had it integrated with Binance, OKX, Bitget, Gate, Crypto.com, Coinbase, and the team across the partnerships side of things is really getting busy on getting it, integrated into more of these wallets and non-custodial wallets, right? And it's great. Kind of pare down and funnel all the liquidity into one place. Yeah, that's one part. And then, yeah, as Fabian had mentioned before, and Lucian as well, I think it's time now that the product is starting to get, is really shaping up, and I'm sure the community is started to play around and is really seeing it, come to life. The focus in terms of really working with partners that are outside of Web3 to drive that adoption is going to be increasingly over time a huge focus for us, and is now, right? So it's great to see that. I mean, it's something that we, that's where our DNA was, for a lot of the community members who were around 4 years ago. But yeah, a lot of those, expanding those type of relationships and tapping into relationships we had previously. Now that the product is really shaping up is a key focus for us. I would say there's two more. Well, no, maybe just one more is developer experience and onboarding. We actually have brought on Adam Herbs onto the team to support us on this front. He's a great guy. Gonna introduce him to say hi to the community in a second, but he's going to be helping out with managing all the builder and developer kind of relationships within the ecosystem, engaging them, onboarding new ones, and furthering that education that's needed, given our tech is there's a lot of things that are possible with it, but there's a lot of also correspondingly there's a lot of work that needs to be done to be able to help people understand it. So he's going to be working very closely with the foundation on the non-tech side, but then also with Universal Everything, namely Jean and Mustafa to bring some of those things to light. So Annalisa, would it be possible for you to actually bring Adam on stage? Oh, you're here. Okay, amazing.
Okay, well, you know what? Thank you so much, guys. First of all, it's my first time using StreamYard, but I think everybody can hear me. First off, absolute pleasure to be here. It was a long time coming. Jonathan gave me a little taste about a year ago, and absolutely fell in love. Super contagious technology, and from my background, I'm a massive nerd for Web3 infrastructure. At the end of the day, help some big projects go to market: Near, Algorand, Cello, Terra, Harmony, Chili's. It goes on. Even did some work for Ledger way back in the day, but. I'm 100% devoted to LUKSO, and I couldn't be more than happy to be here and up on stage with you guys. And thank you so much. Slightly nervous too. Going to make a splash, and hopefully we go out and kill it. But yeah, guys, pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Adam. Super excited for you to join and bring that energy that you have. We've Fawn has met you as well, and we've known each other for a while, and yeah, we're super excited. So yeah, glad to have you on board, and make sure you guys, within the community, say hi to Adam. Feel free to reach out. I'll pass it over to Fawn, but yeah, that's it on our side.
Thanks, John, and super happy to have Adam join us. Hopefully, we'll be able to get you on a community spaces at some point very soon, so that the community can get to know you a little bit better. And we can kind of launch you into into the wildness. Just wanted to give a quick update on some of the stuff that the community department has been kind of working on, and what's coming next across kind of all of our programs. So starting with the LUKSO Luminaries, for anyone that doesn't know, this is our global advocate program. We're continuing to kind of grow and activate that through content creation efforts and kind of community-led projects. So the focus now is on helping those luminaries connect with each other, share ideas, build initiatives that kind of educate and advocate for LUKSO in their own unique ways. They've been doing a great job so far, obviously highlighting all of the kind of content and LSPs and the tech, and even translating in different languages and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to everything that they're currently working on and proposing. So you'll see more kind of learning sessions and live discussions, and more like kind of spotlights coming from them over the next few months. So that's going to be awesome. Then we can go on to the LUKSO Builders Association. So this year we've kind of been really doubling down on kind of trying to support builders and developers through reoccurring office hours. We've done some kind of vibe learning sessions. But moving forward, there's a new technical initiative that we've been brewing in the background. So hopefully we'll be able to reveal that soon, and that will hopefully help builders to onboard faster, collaborate better, and hopefully ship their first projects on LUKSO a little bit quicker. So stay tuned for that. Education has been another big pillar for us. So you may know that we've been doing kind of student hackathons and talks at universities over the last couple of months, as part of the LUKSO on Campus program. So into the next year, you can expect even more kind of like community accessible tutorials, explainers, and kind of bite-sized content across all of our community channels, just to make it easier for everyone to understand, universal profiles and the LSB standards and how to actually build with them, and breaking down those concepts, maybe for a little bit of a non-technical audience. You might have seen some of us do some of this content in the last couple of weeks, and we got a great response from it. So we definitely intend on doing more of that in the near future. Then we've also been looking into ways to reward and acknowledge active and positive contributors across all of our channels like Telegram and Discord and X, from people who are just there being great vibes, helping others, sharing great ideas, hosting conversations that like kind of push LUKSO forward and the culture forward, or even building things that, are super helpful for other people in our community. So we're really looking into ways of how we can be celebrating those who make our space better every day. So stay tuned for that as well, because we've been actively working. Me and Kat have been cooking. So that will come soon, hopefully, as well. Also, trying to ramp up the kind of ecosystem events and campaigns. So this means supporting from the foundation side a lot of the moments that we're moving forward. Now we have a lot of amazing feature releases coming out. So now we're really starting to think, okay, well, now that we've got all of these amazing things that are coming out from the UE side, how can we support from the fancy side and from the community department? So hopefully with some live content, community activations, and things like email campaigns, we'll hopefully be able to bring a lot of people along the ride, because really when the network moves, the community should move with it. And so we really want to make sure that we're tying the loop between everything that we're doing and celebrating all the amazing things that the UE team have actually been striving to build for years, and we finally got these moments. So we should definitely be activating the community for those moments. And then finally, at the heart of everything, obviously, is sentiment and support when it comes to the community team. So we've recently welcomed 2 community managers, Rob and Kev, who will be helping us to ramp up our community efforts. Both of them are long-time community members. I'm sure you guys know them already. And they bring this amazing energy and insight, that sometimes we're a little bit blinded to, because we're so focused on what we're working on, that it's really important that we're now using them to kind of help moderate our channels and to support you all directly, and just to make sure all of that feedback from the community is reaching the right people on the team. So we're going to be keeping a strong focus on our kind of community health, and through kind of active moderation, faster feedback loops, and clearer communication between the team and all of you. So please, if you haven't already, go and follow them on all of their socials, say hi. They're here to help, so don't hesitate to reach out and ask them anything. And then we'll also be, like I said previously, hopefully hosting a community spaces very soon. So if you'd like to meet them virtually, you can catch them on that. But yeah, everything we're doing is, hopefully going to be empowering our community, you guys, to kind of take pace in our wider community and shaping our whole ecosystem and moving us forward. So yeah, that's all from me. But would love to pass it on to, I believe it's Kat.
All right, Annalisa, did you want to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, Annalisa, sorry, my bad.
It's all good. And sorry, I'm the outlier here with no camera on, but I'm really not feeling well today. But I'll go ahead and just cover a couple things that on like the social media front. Fawn did cover a lot on how we're going to be focusing on like education and content, and a lot of the initiatives for the community do go hand in hand with our like social and marketing as well. But just a few pillars of focus for social is really want to hone in on awareness, reach, and audience growth. And that means reaching audiences just outside of our general LUKSO bubble. And the way we do that is we do have some partnerships that are coming up that are non-Web3 with like focusing on like creatives, art, and music. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure if we're not going to be announcing that just yet, but that is in the works. But do want to focus on expanding our visibility outside of not only the LUKSO bubble, but also outside of the Web3 bubble, and partnering with creators and onboarding them onto LUKSO and universal profiles. Okay, so I mentioned awareness and reach, audience growth, and then also content and storytelling. So, I mean, we do, of course, we have plenty of announcements to go around, but also we want to focus our content on education and then also storytelling and use cases for LUKSO. So I know we've been dropping here and there a little bit of our Resonate 1 that was filmed at ETH Denver. So expect a lot more content surrounding that and creators in the next coming weeks. A couple other things is creative marketing. So I'm just mentioned this too, but we do want to experiment with like new ideas and collaborations outside of our typical Web3 channels. So want to explore outreach beyond like our crypto native audience to reach more builders and brands and artists and creators. And then lastly, just maintaining transparency and communication around any like progress releases and also ecosystem activity. So as we're doing here with our monthly AMAs, and also we will be sharing our like a high level roadmap later on, but also want to make sure that the community and everyone stays informed with what's next to come. So with that being said, I will now pass it on to Kat to cover updates on the UE side. Thanks, y'all.
Cool. Thank you, Annalisa. I just want to remind everyone, we have so many cool features coming out, and I am so excited about this. But, if you tuned in last week to everything at your fingertips and you're tuned into what we're doing, you really take a chance to zoom out and understand that this is really the beginning of a decentralized operating system, what we're doing here. And things are just starting to piece together for it now. And if you take a look back to where we were in Web 2 before, right when smartphones were coming out, right when iPhones were coming out, it was really this infrastructure for a new world that doesn't exist yet. And because of that, we had things like social media happen and things like likes and followers and subscriptions. And that was like a V1 of reputation systems, right? That was just like a little taste of what this can look like. What we're doing now with all of these features and releases that have just come out with the Everything app, right? The in-app browser, the token creator, and airdropping, like a exciting new release next week as well that'll make things much smoother and easier to use. The ability to now call people from inside our universal profile mobile app. I mean, this is really the same thing over again, but on a whole nother level, right? So we're in the beginning of creating a whole new era of another round of infrastructure for a world that doesn't yet exist, okay? And this is super cool and exciting. And how things are shaping up with this tech right now is we were going from a phase of telling people, and now we're going into a phase of showing people and using it, testing it, experimenting, exploring. We really want to start to push the limits of what we can do with new reputation systems, new tokens, being able to now message people over CommonGround, using our universal profiles for this and for that, right? And this is super exciting for us. And so what the focus is for us now, and what I like to call the two-pillar or two-prong approaches, as I've called it in the past, but let's focus on now, like one pillar being, this is, I guess you could call for the mass market, right? This is a universal pillar. This is for people who are not familiar with blockchain. They're in Web 2. That's great. They're the culture leaders, the artists. They don't need to know anything about blockchain. That's fine. This is one pillar of focus, right? And this tech is perfect for this. It's great. It's super easy for them. And yes, and then the second pillar I'm calling the innovation pillar. And this is the Web3 crowd that a lot of people on this call are a little bit more familiar with probably right now. But these more specifically are the people who are really on the cutting edge of creating new societies, right? The people who are interested in network states, the people who are interested in DAO governance, the developers, the Web3 hardcore developers, right? These are the people on the cutting edge of this technology. That is our second pillar, the innovation pillar. Okay, so with these two in mind, right now, literally right now, we are in the middle of signing a one-year agreement with a major cultural outlet and Universal Profiles, where Universal Profiles will be the core infrastructure that they'll use for memberships, event passes, artist tools, proof of attendances, storytelling, and community engagement, which is super, super exciting. And so this will be really, really cool for us to see all of this experimenting and play out in this first pillar, at the innovation pillar, where people don't even need to know about blockchain. This will be reaching international artists, brands, events, and so on. And we're super excited to see this happen and to see this start to take shape. So keep your eyes peeled for an announcement coming with that in the next couple of weeks. And for this innovation pillar, next week, we are setting out on a 10-day residency to Edge City, where we'll be co-hosting with Human.Tech and Holonym. And we will be exploring new reputation systems, new value systems, alongside a program that we have set as well. And I am super looking forward to this. If anyone's been tuned into Edge City, anything like Zuzulu, network state going on, this is where it's at. This is like the future of the future of the future. So we'll be experimenting and using profiles throughout our residency and throughout the time that we're there as well. And I am super looking forward to this as well. So on that note too, more to follow with these, and please stay tuned and follow along for more updates on both of these things. Something I'm super passionate about, and if you're here, you're probably really passionate about the LSPs as well. So I've been working on education for LSPs, and we'll be starting to see more of this coming out soon. I think it's really important that we put the focus on what makes LUKSO so special. And even more importantly, I really want to inspire people. I want this to be accessible to people who are, are technical and non-technical alike, and people who are also just trying to find a new home in Web3, or just learning about Web3 in general. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. And then alongside, like I said, we have new releases coming out. So we're tuning up and beefing up our product videos and our media and so on to follow along with these new updates and releases as well, as we see things to really start to take shape with universal everything and universal profiles. All right. And now we can talk a little bit more about the roadmap with Fabian.
All right. I mean, this is I'm feeling like this is like a chicken den where everybody's like, feeding through the line here a little bit.
It's actually very German.
Very
I feel.
organic conversation here. And now it's your turn, like in school. Yeah, I mean, thank you, Kat, and thanks for everyone else. Also, thanks, Jonathan, because Jonathan is like the workforce in the background that makes things happen when it comes to all these wallet integrations. He's like a this never sleeping, always working man, hardworking man. Exactly. Same like everybody here. Really, everybody is like really trying hard, and you're seeing a very tiny fraction of the team because it's all the builders that building all day long, and building this. And actually, as you probably have seen in the last few weeks alone, there's a lot of updates coming, because after we built the rails, now we are working mainly on interfaces, and interfaces is luckily a lot easier than building the actual rails on top which the trains will drive. So we have actually a little nice release that's just happened as well, which is, mini apps now have a little title bar. And so there's a lot of like UI improvements and things that are going further in the direction of where we want to go to. There's obviously a lot of other things that are still kind of missing, right? Like, backup and restore is now finally out in the browser extension. This is coming to the mobile app as well. There's other things that would make it really important for people to for companies or brands to use a profile together, because right now you create it either in the browser extension or you create it in the mobile app. But if you want to share access to other people, there needs to be actually a UI for that makes it easy. Right now the method that you have is imported from the browser extension to any other device, which could be also other people. So this is how you can share access to multiple people, but obviously we need a proper way for that. So what I really like also, I want to give a shout out to Kali Yuga, who has been, dissecting our tech a little more, and actually did what I hoped happened already 2 years ago, that people literally look under the hood and see how is this working, and how can I interact with this thing on a block explorer level. How is this? Because it's all open. This is an open, a completely open source, open system on the blockchain, and you can actually just interact with it directly there. Your profile has all the features already. What's missing is pretty much just our UIs, right? Like if you want to build UIs, it's harder to build UIs because you need to make sure that they work and they have all the different paths and so on. So building a UI for even something simple sometimes takes more work. And if you would just go to the block explorer, you might just do a transaction with the right encryption and the thing works too. Shout out to him. That this is great to see him digging around, playing around, for sure breaking his universal profile. That's along the way. As long as he doesn't remove all the keys, he's fine. So as a bigger picture, it's like where are we now? So you saw now with our release of the Universal Profiles app, let's call it v0.2, right? Before was 0.1, was like you just had the control in it, and you could actually connect to either a desktop application like Universal Everything, or you could connect on an app in your mobile browser. But it was a very cumbersome flow. You need to always switch back and forth between the two apps and so on. So now it's literally in there. In the future, you will be able to add any kind of application into the Universal Profiles app. And it really makes it what Status tried to do in the past. I don't know if you remember Status IM, which was a messenger from back in the day, or even what MetaMask tries to do with their in-app browser, right? Now, but this is done in a proper way, because not only does it look better, that's important too, but it feels more like an operating system, because that's what it actually is. But you have a proper account system with it. And that's what was missing all these years. Just having a wallet is just not enough, right? You can't really get followers on a wallet. You won't even remember which of the 50 wallets that you have, because they're all just gibberish addresses, and you don't even care. But when you make a wallet a profile and you allow for it to hold information, have followers and all these things, now we're getting into the territory of Web 2. And at some point, we can supersede Web 2. So why did we have to build it all in the decentralized way, which is like a very slow database that costs a lot of money to interact with? Because it gives us an account system that is only yours. It gives you the only account system in the internet that is literally just yours. No company owns it. No one controls it but you. And down the road, obviously, the vision goes, right? The story says that down the road, we will have privacy layers and we will have selective revealing data, and we have the ability to really extend this far beyond the simple crypto transaction that we do on a public blockchain today. And that's when this becomes actually a very powerful tool that will outsize any tool that we have currently in the internet. Because we, in fact, have no account in the internet. All we have is a password and an email login to a platform that may or may not let you in next time too. Or maybe not, right? Depends on what you posted on the platform. And in this case, it's very different. So, and like Kat said, yes, we have a very exciting partnership coming up that really brings in other people that have not yet touched Web3. Because the Web3 space is very still much a niche space, even though inside it looks so big, but from the outside it's literally completely. It's big in the known. People have heard about Bitcoin. I even go to sometimes talk to people that literally haven't even heard about Ethereum, so that's still a thing too. But the ones who are actually using it is very small. It's a very small group of users. And that's also the biggest problem of the crypto space. Everybody's trying to just fight around that existing user base when there's just literally, you can actually make a meme out of it where you have like 2 people in a room and everybody trying to talk to them. And then there's like literally 500,000 people outside to know what talks to them. That's what the crypto space looks in a nutshell right now. And the technology that we're building and have built is for making it accessible. It will take time to get even better, but we are already pretty far. So there's 2 things that we're working on as bigger applications that are very important. And I mentioned this before. This is the Claim app, an app that you can easily, in the real world, claim tokens. We have seen things like POAP in the past, obviously, and there's other projects. But we are going to do it in a way that it's actually it's simpler for a user. And in this case, it obviously goes into a universal profile. It doesn't go into a wallet connected to the POAP app in this case. And a check-in app. And check-in basically allows people then to check in people at events and say, okay, do you have the right token? Be it a ticket, be it a proof of attendance, be it a membership, be it whatever you need, be it a combination of things. And when we have the check-in app, this really allows us to play with tokenization in the real world. And that's where also the partnership that we're going to announce come to play, because it's one of those steps where people haven't touched crypto, but they come for the badges, they come for the rewards, and they come for the events, and they come for the people they can meet, and they come for the access they can get. So those tools would be really needed, but they're also tools that you guys can use. And that brings me a little bit to, like, what can you guys do? Like it's like Kat said it before, right? It was very hard to imagine an internet before, the iPhone, or like nowadays. It's like, back in the day, we all had these feature phones and nobody could imagine how it is with an iPhone. Now you cannot unimagine it anymore. Same with the web, right? Before the web, like, how did we even communicate? How did we even look up stuff? You had to go to a library and look at books. Every process was like literally a whole day of work, which today takes you half a second to get that information. Now with AI, even faster. So it's like always very hard to imagine before something happens. And there I'm asking you guys to also think. Now we have the Rails, and what we build is not a specific app that does one thing. It's not like a tool for one purpose. It's the Rails for unlimited amount of purposes. The ability for you to create a token within the mobile app, within the Universal Profiles mobile app, directly on Universal Everything, is actually the ability to come up with concepts and purposes of what tokenization can look in the real world. What purpose can they have within your community? within your friends. What stuff could you make up where this has a use? And that might go and should go far beyond just the ability of buying something or selling something. So it's not just about the idea of, okay, I want to create something that somehow makes money, because I believe the future is about creating tokens that are more for earning, and something that feels more like we have a word in German called Schnitzeljagd, a scavenger hunt. It will feel more like a scavenger hunt, where you participate and you go into different places, you meet different people, and through the reputation that you get, maybe through the following you get or the connections you make, the events you participate, you might actually earn statuses that other people will assign to you, that you can receive, that will give you benefits, access, contributions, or whatever else, or actually just really participation and belonging. And that's the power of tokenization. That's going to be the future. It's not so much about like the token that like goes 10x tomorrow, because as we see, the space has had a lot of, these things that go up and go down. But if you check anything more than 3 months after the fact, it's probably dead or lower than it was initially. And mostly, and meme coins do struggle also with purpose, right? Because on the end, even with a meme coin community, on the end, it needs to be a purpose that keeps it alive. And there's a lot more that we can create that go beyond just the trading aspect. It's about the contribution and the participation. And I invite you to explore and think. And we will do that on our end with the tools, and invite everybody to really think what can be the future, that uses tokens or blockchain in a meaningful way. And here you have the Universal Profile app, Universal Profiles, those new standards as tools to build it. Put it as a mini app in your grid. Soon you can put it as a full app into the Universal Profiles app, and you can literally build and think of whatever you want. Even think that things that go far beyond, what anybody of us has talked so far. That the Rails allow you to do that already, and they are accessible even for non-coders. So that was my little breach story, but in a nutshell, there's a lot to explore. And also I want to say one thing, and maybe this goes also towards the question that can come later. We are currently in like a bad weather environment in crypto, right? Everybody's waiting for either the whole thing goes up or the whole thing goes down. Like we are like in this bad sailing moment, and we're all in it. And I'm personally fucking annoyed as fuck. Don't you worry. I'm pretty annoyed. I'm probably the most annoyed. Anyway, but the long story and the short story is, we will try to weather the storm as much as we can. We're seeing blockchains, and projects just stopping left and right. And it's a tough environment, obviously, given the crypto market cap. It's a tough environment for everybody. But rest assured that we will try our best to navigate the storm as much as we can. And ultimately, what counts is the tech that we build that lasts, the things that we build that change, behavior and that bring novelty. Anything that is a repetition of the old that has already been tried might not exist tomorrow. And LUKSO has been around for a long time. However that happened, I don't know, but we're still here. And we have built this incredible tech that now is this puzzle that plugs together in even more surprising, for me, myself, even to see it all plugged together, because I'm painting it out in my head since years, but now we're getting these last puzzle pieces like plugging in, and now it's onto everyone to really start playing around, exploring and experimenting. And that's my invitation to all of you guys to really like play, right? There's CommonGround. Let's hop on CommonGround. Let's, do live calls. Let's do chit chats, create events, host a party, whatever. Fawnari has a perfect party picture, pink screen, same as Lucien there. Looks like he's in a club already. So I'm just at home, but yeah, that's all I have to say for now. So now we need a cricket sound. Clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah, I mean, you said that really well, Fabs, and this is really just about like what we're doing is literally at the end of the day creating new ways to connect and belong, and that's super powerful. And we just have the tools now to make of it what we want to make, and it's super cool. And we're really excited to see what other people come up with, because we can come up with things on our own, but we want to see what other people come up with and see other people move and play with this and experiment and break it and see what they can do, see what kind of reputation systems they can come up with, new value systems. Like, who would have thought you could go on vacation just because you had so many followers at one point? That's like, thinking of that is like kind of like, oh yeah, that's a whole new value system. And we have the tools now to do way beyond that and so much more. It can look completely different now. That was just V1.
Yeah, and if you, for example, think about like if you would have told people in 2000, hey, by the way, in the future, people will constantly just look at a stream of photos where mostly people do selfies, they photograph food, or nowadays they post wisdom texts, and that's the thing, I mean, obviously, I would like to see meaningful things being created in the future, and they're all meaningful in their own ways. But we are really just beginning to explore this kind of new way, right? And what does blockchain bring to the table? It's ownership, but it's not only ownership about money and assets that have some kind of trading value, but it's ownership of your past, your history, your connections, the things that you encountered. Like it's like the morphic fields, like the ether, right? Where Ethereum comes from the ether, right? Which is this subtle field that contains all information. And literally that's what the blockchain is. It's like that field that contains all information, including who you hang out with or who you participate in, which group, where did you do what, and so on. And that's literally what the tech does today. It's a very good public account, and even more so important for companies and brands or artists, that do want to have this transparency and that reputation. And there's obviously, there are going to be big debates about the whole privacy layers, and that's something that universal profiles do not give you by default yet, because a blockchain is inherently transparent, right? As of now, the technology is very good at being transparent. But this is layers that can be added on top of this. And there's a lot of teams working on different layers in this direction, and they sooner or later will nicely plug into this here. Because what we created is this new set of foundations that Web3 was built on, but it's the evolved version. And eventually, the more we show that this is a better way, it will benefit the whole Web3 space and the whole world at large. And there will be other networks that will want to use our tech. There's other networks that will want to use our standards, and we will make that available. And we will host them in some way, maybe even. And we will make it so that Universal Profile really can become a cross blockchain account system, while the LUKSO network has the benefit of having only new standards. That means the possibilities and the things you can build on LUKSO are a lot bigger than one you can build on Universal Profiles on a network that still runs on ERC20, right? And that's the benefit. We have a whole new stack that enables so much more, and there's a lot more that will come. Kat already hinted towards, the more detailed explanation of the LUKSO standards proposals, because we're really just in the beginning of what can be done here. We're really just like touching the surface of this powerful technology. And right now, all it needs is more interfaces, more UIs. But, even if we build very fast, it also takes you guys to catch up. It takes you guys to play around and use it, because there's probably like 10, 20 features that exist that you don't even know and you haven't used it. So, and we may have tweeted about it, and we may need to repeatedly tweet about it. There is so much more that can be done, and be like Kali Yuga, explore, play around, break things. Maybe don't store all your LUKS on it and then remove the last controller key. That would be a bit of a weird move, but Otherwise, like play around. There's a test net, by the way. You can also completely go wild on that test net and create a profile right there. That's another option. Yeah, let's go to the questions and then we can wrap up at some point.
Sure. We did have a few questions that came in from Curia, but this one just came in from James. Does the LUKSO Foundation have any programs or plans coming up for builder support apart from any financial grants, as in like mentorship, business, legal advice, intro to VCs, and so forth? John and Fawn, I think maybe that would be for you to answer.
Yeah, we just had Hack the Grid earlier this year. We are putting a bit of a pause on that, given the market conditions, just being honest, right? But we do, and I think Fawn can definitely, talk about this as well. But yeah, we do have some programs that are going to be helpful for builders, that are building on the network, which might help them on things that don't come as intuitive to them, but but to support them in other ways outside of that, definitely. Fawn, do you want to, or should we save it for the next stream? I don't know.
I think we should save it for the next stream, but I'm happy to hint at it a little bit. So we're working on, looking at Hack the Grid and our final level of Hack the Grid, and thinking about ways where we've taken our builders to a certain point and how can we help them kind of level up in aspects that might not, as John said, come as natively to their kind of thinking, and trying to kind of level them up in that way. So I'll leave it at that. But it's a really cool initiative. We're really excited about working on it. And we think that our grantees are going to be super excited about participating in this as well. Yeah, it's a really interesting, different take on that kind of like builder support that we haven't done previously before. And also now that we have Adam here, I'm hoping that our kind of builder relations and dev relations will be able to kind of level up to like a next level that we haven't previously been able to do within the team. So that can kind of go across the kind of advising and the network effects of us being able to open up from our contacts to help our builders. Make.
I want to add to this also that obviously, the bigger the budget and the bigger the team of what the foundation can support in terms of people directly at the foundation or in surrounding entities, the more we can do, right? And it all depends on where we are at in the journey. And right now we are at a squeeze point of whole crypto. So, and everybody's in a squeeze point, if you will. And so we need to be focusing our resources and the amount of people that we have, and obviously on the things that bring us the furthest with the resources that we have. That also changes, when resources are more plentiful and when attraction and attention is coming back. So our interest is always to obviously support builders, especially. But one thing is, the financial thing. Yes, that's what people, hope for in crypto a lot. Specifically in the recent years, that hasn't existed so much in the early days of crypto. That's happened really in the last 3-4 years. So there's a lot of like financial supporting of builders, but mainly also education, because there's a lot to learn here. There's a lot new, and it's not that different though. That's also an important learning. It's actually not that different as people think. Yeah, and
yeah. Sorry, Fabian.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And what's cool about the Hack the Grid is that we almost saw it as like a precursor to a Cambrian explosion, right? You really got to see people dig into the standards, dig into UPs, how to use the standards in an interesting way, and to create mechanisms that like we didn't even think of at the time, right? And so, as we're onboarding partners and speaking to them, I'm showing these apps on a daily basis that you guys have created that you guys don't even know, right? And it's really cool because it's something, it's really capturing other people's interests that you don't necessarily see in the community, because these are conversations that are either happening one-on-one or between different organizations, etc. But they're very excited, and it's clear that they see we're building something that's very differentiated, something that they're not used to. And it's almost like that transition moment of when, like for example, when that iPhone moment that we keep pointing to, where if Apple had done a community survey before they launched the first version of the iPhone, like, hey, do you want a phone without any buttons on it, right? It would have been a resounding no, right? But then, over time, as people tried it out physically, at scale, it started to make sense. And, that's very much similar to LUKSO. And when they're interacting with the, what's been built, by the core team, but especially by the builders of the ecosystem. And so definitely, trying to see with what's been built out, sometimes there's a couple tweaks that we need to, ask the builders to make for it to be part of, some of this onboarding with larger partners. So,
I mean, it's also when does what make sense, right? Like, for example, there can be also integrations too early, and we had that in the past where we kind of like pushed for integration, but then on the end there was barely anybody in the community using it, and then it just sits there, and either we spend money for it or they spend money for it, and it's not their attention yet, because it's about the timing. When does what make sense? So. There's still a lot to just uncover, and there's also, like I said, a lot to use with just what's there already now. You can do plenty of things.
Right on. Okay, so we got this question quite a few times, I think, on Curia, and then also I saw this coming in on Twitter as well. But for one, just any updates on the LUKSO migration, and any status updates on that. And then secondly, we have been getting a lot of questions about progress regarding stables for LUKSO. So Fabian, if you want to address those.
Yeah. So when it comes to the migration, we had 13.7 million out of 15.2 million LUKS migrated. There's still like migrations coming in pretty much daily. We will still monitor it. I mean, even stopping it doesn't really, I don't think makes any effect on the LUKS market, even though I know there's the hope that this does. I personally don't really know. So we will keep it running for a little longer. We don't have a definite date yet. I think the absolute max would probably be next year mainnet launch. That will be 3 years after. But, like, don't take my word for it yet. We just launched the bridge. There's obviously a lot of LUKS that moved over to Uniswap. People put, added to the pools there. So LUKS is now widely available in all the different apps over Ethereum. So that really increased the liquidity or the availability. So now there is no argument about jurisdiction or any of these things anymore. It's like literally, it's now on chain. It's the real on chain. And yeah, I mean, the more people create liquidity there, the more attractive it gets as well. So if you have some Ether laying around and some LUKS, there's a pool you can put it in there. And the migration we will have to see when we close it, but there's no definite date yet. I mean, there's still things moving. So problem is, the moment we close this, these people will come to us, and now that's a lot more support questions to answer, on our end, that for now I don't want to have. We are a limited amount of hands what we can carry here. So, and the question towards USDC specifically, that we will want bridged first, we're working on it. There's a little bit of a complication with the Hyperlane UI. and LSP7 support in their system. And we are working around that right now and finding a solution of how we can integrate this, or how we can provide, or how there can be another UI for the bridge that supports the USDC route. While alongside there's some improvements on the governance of the bridge that we're still waiting on, and hence why it took so long, or why it takes some time. We're expecting this to be, hopefully coming in the next month or so. But again, don't take my word for it. But that would be then two ways. Another, we have LUKS that can go to Ethereum, and we have USDC that can go to LUKSO. And that would bring stablecoins. For anybody who wants to buy something on LUKSO with stablecoins, you can also buy it with LUKS, though. But yeah, this is going to come, and it's in the works. There's another, obviously, we have, it's on a bigger roadmap. I mean, I was showing this, or we were showing this in our tweets, right, with the roadmap, the bigger pieces. One big thing that's coming is the name system. We obviously need to get done with the bridge and some other work on the smart contract side before we can move to the name system. The name system really will ensure you a fixed profile link for as long as you have the name registered. Because right now, if you don't know, but if you change your username on your user profile, your profile link will change too, because it literally is tied to your username. So it's only as unique as as your username, and the moment you purchase a name and you lock that in for whatever definite amount of time, that then your profile link is in that locked. And yeah, there's also some front coming on the relay. So we have now also people, we're doing more activities. We're doing also, people are doing more activities. You might have noticed that you do run out of your, I think it's 20 million gas, that's currently subsidized. We will be offering a bigger paid for tier in the future as well. And that's also an ability for you to support the development of Universal Everything and get some nice freebie other things as well. That's currently in the making, because things need to be supported, and not only indirectly from a market. And then you can do lots of transactions using the relayer. Okay, let's move to the next question.
Yeah, we got this a couple times too, so I'll try and consolidate it. But really, how is LUKSO, or how do you see LUKSO different from Base, for example? Was one of the questions.
This is a good one, actually.
Yeah.
So it's hard to even compare this. It's like comparing apples and oranges. So if you want to understand Base is a sidechain of Ethereum. Sidechain security lives off the ability to bridge an asset that you created on the L1 over to the L2. Assets you create directly on the L2 are only secured by your trust in the sequencers of that network. That means if you trust your identity onto the runners of the Base chain, which in this case would be Coinbase and maybe a few other exchanges, then that's called it's the same, almost like a server, right? You're trusting the admin of a server. So that's on a decentralization level. LUKSO and Base is not comparable, because we're an actual L1 run by people, run fully decentralized, while Base is an L2. Even though it does have levels of security, and that's also improving, but that's not the same as like an L1. The other thing is it uses the same tech that, to be fair, my colleagues and I at the Ethereum Foundation created in 2015. So it's based on wallets, it's based on ENS, which is Nick Johnson from back in the day, tied to a wallet. They put it in a nicer looking interface, and now they're launching tokens for posts that are still based on ERC20 that I happened to propose in 2015 too. So it's the old tech stack re-glued together in a new way. there's multiple problems with it. Number one, ERC20 doesn't have a way to notify senders and recipient. It doesn't have a way to upgrade metadata. It's not very flexible. Or even 721, right? It's a very simplistic standard. Number two, your identity is an ENS name. That means your identity can be detached from the wallet you connect to it. That means your on-chain history and your identity is not linked together, meaning it's actually not an identity, right? And I don't think the idea of selling posts is a good idea. Honestly, I think they got the whole idea of the creator economy wrong. They should have read our white paper and maybe understood it better. That's not the way to do it, in my opinion. This is like just creating another pump and fun scam that already people seeing through right after launch. So you see that they're getting a lot of backlash based on this. So it's not a good idea. But it's absolutely not comparable, right? The one is kind of like, put the shell on like something to make it look shiny and new, but it's still like the old thing under the hood. I mean, I like the comparison of like gasoline cars and Teslas. They do look the same on the outside, but they're very different on the inside. It's in a way like that. So it's not really comparable. In fact, they would really benefit of, adopting the universal profile standards, doing it the proper way. That will be, I think, down the road, that will be probably what they will have to do. Once we showcase that this is the tech that's just superior. Right now, obviously, they have the backing of a big exchange. But what we're also seeing here, and this is interesting, the whole crypto market is struggling. And even something like Base, which is 100% sustained and pushed for by the largest crypto exchange in the world, Coinbase, they seem to struggle. So much so that they're now even coming up with their own token, which is actually not really necessary either. Might be just another long-term, eating people's money in a nutshell, I guess. But at least they're pushing the narrative of what we have been working towards for years. The difference to them and us is we build for years. They just started to change things in that direction while using the old tech. So it's not really a comparison that one can make, neither on the decentralization level nor on the usage level, nor do they even get it right. That is sad to see, actually, that they don't even understand what the future of crypto will actually look like. It's not going to be Steemit. I think Steemit was the name of the platform that did the same thing, where you had posts and every post was a coin that you could trade. Those are literally 4 years old ideas that already, like back in the day, didn't really work. So I'm not sure why they will work now, specifically after Pump and Fun. But I mean, they could be working for some time, but I don't think this is a very sustainable future, what they're planning to do there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hope does somebody else has like a point to add to this, or we can just move on to the next question.
All right. Next question, actually, Jean also dropped this just in the private chat, but I saw this on coming in from YouTube. Someone said, I didn't back up my universal profile yet. Should I do this ASAP? And is there anything I need to know about the process?
So yes, that's a very good point. And this is also a very good point. And this is an important question. So technically speaking, your private keys that you're using your profiles should not matter. And the moment you care only about LUKSO, they actually don't. As long as you have recovery methods set up, or you can use your MetaMask or third-party wallet as a recovery as well. Just go to my.universalprofile.cloud, click on recovery methods, third party, and there you can add any kind of wallet as a recovery method. You would not need to worry. There is one restriction. That is something that sadly we couldn't fully remove. And this is that in order to have your profile cross-chain at the same address down the road, you will need that initial controller key. safe or in one of your devices. So if you created it in the browser extension and you have never replaced the browser extension, the initial controller key will be in there. So if you now back up with the backup file, you will have it backed up. So now you can create that profile down the road at the same address on different chains. Should you not have backed that up, or should you just have copied that private key out of the settings, if you actually you can actually like generate I mean, you should actually watch Kali Yuga figure it out because there is the backup file that you have, and you could literally download an unencrypted version and put your private key right in there. And that would, get your private key back if you have backed it up back in the day in this old format, and then you could re-import it. We will probably make some tutorials, for these things in the future. If you have created in the mobile app first, then there will be a backup feature coming, but there will also be this will also be down the road backed up using your iCloud and other means of your phone automatically. So it should be very difficult to lose these things when you create them in the phone directly. So yeah, you have to see that this is a process, and we're trying to improve it and add things. The technology and the substance, the Rails is there, but making these user interfaces, adding these pieces, making it understandable, and so on, it's going to be a process in the coming months and years alongside this, because this is a novel form of an account that doesn't exist yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you have your private key downloaded or you have the backup file, you should be safe. If you just want the security of your profile, add the MetaMask or Ledger as a recovery option in your profile, or authorize different devices to have them as a backup is your way of securing your profile.
Yep. And then Jean also mentioned that we have a tutorial and support page coming for the backup and restore feature very soon. So that's on the way. Yeah. Awesome. I know we're at time. I believe we just about addressed everything. Is there anything else from the team that I might have missed?
I want to say one thing is like support.luxo.network. I think that's where there's a lot of tutorials already. I think there's even one about backup and restore, actually, if you want to watch that, even though things should be more or less self-explanatory, but there is additional content. There's, maybe just as a very short roundup, there's obviously questions about exchange listings, and there's questions about when Binance, and all of these questions. The reason why we're not directly answering them is that it's not as simple as people think. These listings cost millions of dollars in the very large number. They are very complex. It's very orchestrated nowadays. So the whole idea of that this is somehow organic is sadly not true anymore. If you, though, really care about the crypto game and you want to, make LUKSO known, there's a lot of KOLs that post constantly questions. There's crypto outlets that constantly post questions of which token, which ticker, which project. The more voices, make themselves heard there, the more likely is that LUKSO gets more attention within those circles as well. So this is up to you to feed into those feeds, literally feeds. And otherwise, it's about building, it's about making it useful, it's about trying, experimenting, and maybe you will be the person that has the killer app, and even just killer use case, idea that somehow already works now in this universal tool called the Universal Profile app or Universal Everything. And maybe one day you just wake up and think, this is it. And you try it out and everybody's on board. That's exactly why we built this system to be the tool for everything, right? And not just one use case for one thing. That's why it also took so long to build, because it is literally a generic Web3 account system that we are now, making the UIs for it, if you will. And obviously, we will build it in what fits the vision that we have laid out, and partnering with the people to bring it into the non-crypto space. But you're also totally invited to come up with your own place and your own ways, and experiment with this tech, and use it, and create a CommonGround community, create some activity, and make something happen. Create a token, create a grid. If you're a developer, build some DAO tools. That would be great. They definitely belong also into a universe profile. And there's a very long roadmap that we have of things that we will be adding over time, while at the same time navigating the waters of the stormy sea of crypto that we all swimming through every day.
All right, right on. I'm seeing if there's any other questions that we haven't addressed. I think that covers just about everything. But as a reminder, if you do want to receive a special POA token into your universal profile, go ahead and follow that link, bit.ly/LUKSO-live. And we'll be distributing that for anyone who is live on this stream right now. That form will be staying open until for just a little bit longer. And yeah, anything else from the team? Otherwise, I'll leave it up to y'all for some closing words.
I mean, I just want to say that I'm passionate as ever. I think everyone on the team is passionate as ever about this tech, and we so strongly believe in it, and that's why we're here. We're really at the brink of this really being able to do some really cool new things. And like I said before, this is the infrastructure for creating a world that does not yet exist, that we get to create and get to go out there and try and test out. We're seriously on the forefront of this, which is super cool. And really thankful for everyone who's here on this live stream as well. And for sharing along and joining along in this journey.
Yeah. Thank you for always bringing the posy vibes. Also, Kat. Amazing. So I don't see any additional questions.
I just want to say that I'm actually at the Ethereum hub in London, the co-working space. So there's lots of people walking around, but I just think it's ironic, the fact that we're clearly pink pilling them right now. The whole thing is completely pink. So maybe that's a sign.
I'd love to see it. Amazing.
I mean, also maybe just as an ending, so we will be traveling to Patagonia. We will be 4 people at the residency, and that's really a lot of people that think about the future of society and the world, and crypto is going to play a major part of this. And then there is DevConnect, where we will be at, and DevConnect is this year's big Ethereum conference. I mean, it's not DevCon, but it's somehow, as far as I understand, actually really like the Ethereum Foundation's endorsed conference this year, and a lot of people will be there. And also, you should watch the movie Code is Law if you want to know a little bit about crypto history and what happened and what created the space, specifically the DAO and Ethereum Classic. And you want to see me be staring in a movie, right? And want a little bit of a background history, like the one after ERC20, but kind of in the middle. That movie, you can actually watch it on Vimeo for international people, and I think the UK and the USA, you can find it on Prime and Amazon, Apple TV Plus, or something like this. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth watching. I watched it this weekend with my son. It was interesting to watch. 2 correction facts. There's actually 2 more people that were in the Robinhood group than they put in the video. But it was quite interesting to watch. And yeah, happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everyone. All right, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on the live stream. Make sure you drop your universal profile address in that link that you see scrolling across the stream. And just want to just express my gratitude for this team. And I know we've been working really, really hard on and making things happen over here. So really excited for what's coming, and I'll see Lucy and Kat and Fabi, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Actually, I'll be at DevConnect. I wish I was going to Patagonia, but I'm so bummed. But I will see you in Buenos Aires. So
Buenos Aires, nice.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks everyone. Everyone, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Cue the music and the